Hey everyone, my name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at some malicious compliance stories, so sit back, relax and enjoy. Don't call us unless it breaks. Bit of a backstory, I work as a machine operator in a factory type setting. I'm responsible for 2 lines of moving product with the fairly simple job of keeping the machines running and basic quality control. I've held my current position for 3 years, and frankly, most weeks I spend more time with these machines than my wife. I know when something isn't right. Our engineering department doesn't always agree. 2 days ago, one of my 2 machines begins making a clanking sound. I give it a quick once over. Seems like 2 metal parts are slapping together, probably just a loose bolt. I grab a radio and call for an engineer. Oh great, it's one of the newer ones fresh out of school. He listens to it run for a few minutes. It's running fine, why did you call me out here? Don't you hear that noise? It's fine, it always sounds like that. He makes a note in his log and leaves. The machine is still operational and my shift ends in 20 minutes, so I let it go. The next day, I come in for my shift and it's still making the same noise. I ask the previous shift's operator about it. They repeat a similar story with the same engineer. 3 hours into my shift, the noise has gone from occasional to near constant. I call for an engineer to come check it out again. Our newest engineer comes down. What's wrong this time? You seriously don't hear that? Can you just give it a quick check? You guys need to stop calling us down here for this. Look at it, it's running fine. He makes another note in his log and walks off. 4 hours later, the clanging has gotten louder and the machine is beginning to jostle with each impact. Concerned, I again call for an engineer. This time he doesn't even bother inspecting the machine. Dang it, Kingler, I told you, it's fine. Don't call us back down here unless it breaks. Cue compliance. I run it as is for the rest of my shift. The noise and the movement of the machine growing worse the entire time. I check it every other hour. Hasn't broken yet. I inform the relief shift of what's going on and go home. I come in today and the noise is near deafening, and the entire product line is shaking with the strength of the impacts. The previous shift informs me that the engineering department still hasn't looked at it. I stop the machine and give it a quick look. Still not broken, I run it as is. 10 hours into my shift, and we are suddenly bombarded by a symphony of metallic noises and screeches. Half of the machine is now on the floor, while the other half gyrates wildly as it attempts to continue. I press the emergency stop and make the call. He begins to complain before he even makes it to my lines. Listen, dang it, I told you. What the heck did you do to the machine, Kingler? It broke. For the last 2 hours of my shift, I enjoyed the luxury of only having to focus on one of my product lines and the blissful noises of our good friend being royally chewed out by his boss as an entire engineer crew is now attempting to salvage the machine. When I clocked out, it was still lying in ruins. Ooh, that's gonna be a huge loss for the company if they don't have a backup, because those machines are normally operating like at full capacity and doing a lot of numbers. It's the same as the last time. I had a boyfriend who was in his junior year in college when this happened. I, on the other hand, was in my 2nd year in a master's degree and working as a teacher's assistant in a different university. He lived in a different city, approximately 2 hours drive from mine. We usually see each other on the weekends. I had always helped him with his papers, essays, case studies, feasibility studies, business proposals, marketing plans, etc. After 1 year in the relationship, I ended up doing everything without contribution from him at all. He didn't even bother to read the papers for editing. He'd say that he trusts me and he knows I am a good writer. This was difficult because his degree is different from mine. I am a computer science major while he is a business management major. Add to that, he always notified me about these papers when the deadline is too close already, so I always ended up spending the whole night just to do his papers. Aside from giving me the burden of doing requirements, he also told me that this time I should write 2 papers for the same topic. One would be the full paper, while the other is a paraphrased version. I didn't find this odd because I had a subject with the same requirements. Professors use the paraphrased versions as an inclusion in our final exams. One time, I had to go to his city for a 2-day workshop. He told me I could stay in his apartment so that I wouldn't be driving back and forth. I agreed and actually thanked him for his kindness. On the morning of my first day of workshop, he left early because of his class. While I was preparing, I heard a notification from his laptop. He left it open on his study table. I checked it and found out this conversation of him and his girl classmate, GC, in his Facebook Messenger. "Hey, are you done with the case study assignment?" "Oh, when is the deadline? I haven't even read the case." "Tomorrow's the deadline, class hours. Don't forget me, winky face." "Ha, got you, winky face." I never intended to pry, I respect privacy. However, this conversation was really giving me chills. I backread their conversation, and ding ding ding, I saw that my boyfriend has been giving the paraphrased version of all the papers that I made for him to this girl, and yes, she's his side chick. My day went on the usual, and when I got back to his apartment, I wanted to talk to him about what I saw, but he told me he has to go out to meet his group mates in another subject. As he was heading out, he told me I needed to write another case study, and the deadline was the next day. He gave me a 3-page reading for it and reminded me about the paraphrased version. I told him that before I do this paper, I need to ask him about something. He dismissed me angrily and said that he'll be late for the meeting. Giving up on discussing the issue with him, I just said, "I need to know the details for this case study." He shouted at me and said, "It's the same as the last time." Cue in malicious compliance. While he was out, I started working on the papers and planned my revenge. I threw the reading material into his trash can and looked for the paper that I wrote for him last week for a different topic. After all, he said it was just the same as last time. I didn't edit anything except the file name. I know he'll be giving the paraphrased version to his side chick, so I used the original one and renamed it to paraphrased_version.docx, and renamed the paraphrased version to original.docx. I sent it to his email and told him I have an emergency in my apartment and that I was going home that night. I lied. I packed my bag and went to a hotel for the night. The next day, I went to my workshop, turned off my phone, and went on with my day. As I was driving back to my city, I opened my phone and saw that he left me a ton of messages and missed calls. I know my plan worked. I called him and asked him what was the matter. "Hey, what's up?" "The paper, it was from last week's topic." "Are you sure you checked the correct email that I sent you?" "I was accused of cheating. I'll be suspended and worse, dismissed because of this." "Cheating? The papers are not plagiarized. I even used Turnitin. Why did your professor say you were cheating?" My boyfriend gave silence. "Is it because you and your girl classmate have been submitting similar works?" My boyfriend hangs up. According to a mutual friend of ours, the side chick is in the same subject but different section. The professor checked their previous submissions and saw the similarities. My boyfriend and his side chick failed that class and was suspended for 1 semester due to cheating. Well, I guess he got caught cheating twice then, didn't he? Do your job. My job? Okay, I will. Comply. I am a night shift worker, working in a care home with children with challenging behavior. Though my job title is night support worker, it's more like glorified cleaner because the children almost always sleep through the night without issue. I really enjoy my job. It fits perfectly around my family and the pay is good. Recently, this new woman was hired. Let's call her Icky. I hate her. I've worked there for nearly a year and have a good relationship with staff and the children. Though I lone work, my fellow night workers are just lovely women, and we chat on WhatsApp group and we're very protective of each other. Since Icky started, she kept leaving messages on how night shift should be doing this, night shift need to do that. Screw off, Icky. If management needs us to do something, I'll hear it from them, not you. The final straw came when this message was left for night staff on a night shift a few weeks back. Night staff need to be checking the fridge for out-of-date food. There was some food that had gone off, which I had to chuck out, and night staff need to ensure they're checking the fridge. I took umbrage with this for two reasons. Number one, it's actually day staff's job to be checking the food dates, etc. They have a checklist which needs to be ticked off every day, and making sure food is labeled and in date is one of the tasks. Number two, Icky has been here for 5 minutes. I've had fart smells linger longer, and for someone so green to write a message like that, jog on. Now for the sweet malicious compliance. So if Icky thinks its night staff's job is to maintain the food safety standard, alright, I will. That night and every night shift I was on for the next 2 weeks, I meticulously went through every cupboard and the fridge and threw away everything that was opened, not labeled, or wrapped up, including sauces, condiments, sandwich meats, dairy products, everything. One night, I literally threw away half a fridge worth of food, which in a non-care home environment wouldn't normally be an issue, but food safety standards states food needs to be wrapped up once opened and labeled. I also left a note every time I had to throw away food. Staff need to be sealing and labeling food correctly, as night staff don't know when the food products were open, and we have to assume it's out of date to comply with food safety standards. It got to the point where management pulled me to one side and said, "Why are you throwing so much food away?" I responded by opening the fridge and showing them an opened pack of ham not sealed, not labeled, and the back of the ham packet it says, "Once opened, use within 3 days." So I said, I was told night staff need to be checking the fridge, and every time I've checked it and the day staff aren't labeling food or storing it correctly, then I have to assume it's out of date. I showed management the messages, and I was told actually it's day staff's job and night staff don't need to worry about that. Ooh, shock, horror. So management made a clear statement about day staff responsibilities and took Icky to one side to have a chat. Take that, Icky. Yeah, I don't know what Icky was thinking there, but you're gonna have no food left. More pepper. Story from my friend who is a waitress at a local restaurant. She had served an older couple their food, and the woman asked for pepper. No problem, my friend grabs the mill and grinds some on. After a few seconds, the normal amount of pepper is on her food, and my friend leaves to attend other guests. When she circles back around to the older couple's table, the woman rounds on my face and spits. My friend was disgusted by the saliva flying out of this woman's mouth. She joked about getting tested for rabies. That wasn't nearly enough pepper, and she demanded my friend keep going until she was instructed otherwise. As my friend recounts, it was almost the end of her shift, and her manager would have her back when it came to guest disputes. So she shrugged, grabbed the pepper grinder, and again began anew. As she did, the woman literally turned her back to my friend and rummaged in her purse. My friend kept grinding the pepper, all while this woman knocked her purse around the floor, until she ran out. "Excuse me, ma'am, this one appears to be empty. I'll run back and grab a new one." It was several minutes before the woman turned back around to discover a pile of pepper on her plate. The woman did an excellent impression of a fish before simply standing up and leaving. The man she was with simply paid the bill, leaving an excellent tip, collected her purse and followed her out. My friend hasn't heard anything from review websites, social media, etc. I bet the husband there thought it was really funny, so he gave a big tip and just left. Wow guys, look on screen right now, you see those two videos right there? They're pretty good. I think you should click at least one of them and watch another one.